All right, guys, how's everything going? How's everyone doing? Today is a video I'm going to be making on answering a question. I've said this before. Send me questions. Like, I know I don't have a ton of followers yet, but whoever's out there, just if you have a question about anything, just send it to me. And I want this to be interactive. I want you guys, if you have questions regarding anything that we cover, any topic we talk about, send it to me. Even if it's related to a video, great. If not, I'll do my best to answer it. If I can't, I'll just say that I can't. I'll be honest. So somebody sent me a question on a video that I did not too long ago. That was the topic was lying men of God, which is like a terrible thing. If you're representing God, you should not be a liar. Period. Right? So this question says, serious question, is intentional delusion or willful ignorance the same as lying? Yes. And then he goes on to say the difference between lying to others versus lying to yourself. I would say that if you're lying to yourself, it's probably worse than lying to others, or it's equally as bad, because if you're lying to yourself, you're trying to convince yourself that you're something that you're not, or you're living, or you're speaking, or you're believing something that you're not. So you can't truly represent yourself properly to others because you're lying to yourself, if that makes sense. It kind of reminds me of let me preface what I'm about to say with this. Lying and honesty, like lying and telling the truth, is black and white. There's no in between, right? Because even something that's partially untrue is a lie. And honestly, every good lie contains a little bit of truth in it so that it's believable. So we have to understand that there's truth and lie. That's it. There's nothing in between. And I think that by and large, we've kind of tried to morph those two together. And we see this in society today, right? Where we have people who delusionally think that there's something that they're not. They're lying to themselves from the inside out, right? And it's impossible. It's impossible for a man to be a woman or a woman to be a man, right? But they've lied to themselves. They're delusional, right? And they've accepted that lie to the point where they're trying to get others to believe it. And that's an impossible task. A human can't be a cat, right? No matter what you feel like, that feeling is based on lies. That feeling is based on things you're telling yourself that aren't even true. Feelings are not genetic. Feelings are based on what you've been through, your experiences. I've talked about this before. Feelings are not, look, feelings aren't even true. You can't trust your feelings to be true. And I'm even going to go a little bit further, right? Because this is something that I always tell the youth and the teenagers that I've been able to speak into their lives. Facts are subject to change. Truths are not. Facts can change. You even take a look at COVID. Well, this was a fact. This was a fact. This was a fact. But then those facts morphed and changed into something else because they weren't true. And here's another thing too. A lie can become a fact or a truth to an individual when they choose to believe it. And that's a scary thing, especially when it's talking about what your question is. A fact or a lie can become a truth to you when you choose to believe it. And that's why we see so many people with low self-esteem, because all these things have been spoken to them, right? That's why the Bible says that there's the power of life and death is in the tongue. Because when you hear things over and over and over, even if it's not true about you, if it's a lie, you begin to believe that, and you begin to become what that lie is about you. And here's a perfect example of this. Like, I'm a big people watcher. I enjoy watching people. But sometimes you go into situations where it's like, why is this individual wearing this? What makes this person think that it's okay to wear this? Sometimes you see older people that are dressed like teenagers. Now, in their minds, when they look in the mirror, they've lied to themselves to the point where they're like, yeah, this looks good. But it's ridiculous, right? Within themselves, they're lying to themselves that something's appropriate or something looks decent or something, It's really a terrible thing, and it's sad. And there's a big difference between, okay, look, biblically speaking, it says, without faith, it's impossible to believe God. Now, faith is just truly believing God for what he says to be true. So there are things in our lives that we're standing on faith that we may not see come to fruition yet, but that doesn't mean that it's a lie. So there's a difference between standing on a truth, even if it hasn't come to pass yet. So you might think that you're living a lie, whereas you're just living a lie. So let's just say, for example, if you know that at some point you're going to be a success in business, right? There's an element of you telling yourself every morning when you wake up, I'm a success, I'm this. Even if you only have $12 in the bank, it's not a lie that you're standing on something firm for the future. You can believe within yourself that you're going to be a success, or that you're successful at that moment, because you'll never be a success until you believe that you're a success, right? But here's the other thing. If you don't have that motivation and that drive and that grind to make it there, yet you're lying to yourself saying, I'm a success, and you're portraying something on the outside that inwardly you're never going to become, then that's an inward lie. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So that's what I'm getting at. Yes. So lying to yourself is just as bad, if not worse, than lying to others, because every single individual has a sphere of influence where you have to represent, for believers, you're representing God first and foremost. And secondly, you're representing yourself. So if you're not a believer, you're always representing yourself, right? And to be honest with you, people are always looking at individuals and making judgments, making assessments. And if you're gonna talk something, you need to walk it. And if you're going to be in a position where you're lying inside from the out, people are going to see that. And even if they don't see it right away, you're going to be exposed at some point. So it's very dangerous to lie to yourself. It's very dangerous to try to convince yourself that you're something that you never have the grind or the desire or the ability to put hard work into becoming. So I hope this answers your question. And again, if anybody has any questions, just feel free to send them, and we'll do our best to answer them.